Welcome to the Ready Room Podcast by TBR Gunworks. I am Josh.
I am Caroline.
We are your hosts, and today is our 10th episode. We're going to talk about overrated cartridges, which is a follow-up to our very first episode on underrated cartridges. Really hope you guys enjoy. All right, episode 10. Celebrating over 100 downloads.
Yay.
We've surpassed that as of a few days ago. Today's the 14th
Yes.
of a month.
March.
14th of March. So this is exciting. I know a lot of people really wanted us to do the overrated cartridges episode, but I found it a little more difficult to set up for than underrated cartridges, because overrated is a negative, underrated is a positive, right? And as soon as you start talking negative about people's favorite cartridge...
Well, I mean, it's not necessarily a negative. Like, just because it's overrated doesn't mean it's bad.
Yeah, exactly. That's how I see it. And some people see it as just completely hating on their favorite cartridge, which is just, I mean, it is what it is. I know of 2 cartridges in this episode that personal friends of mine are going to be upset about for no reason besides they like the cartridge, which is silly. But, guys, if you're watching on YouTube, please comment, like, and subscribe. Really helps out the channel. Hit the notification bell because we are firearms-related content. I'm not sure exactly if you'll get notifications. So try to hit the notification bell. Help see the new content as it comes out every week. If you're on the podcast sites, which is now all podcast sites except for Pandora, because they're anti-gun. I'm sure a lot of them are anti-gun, but they literally have stuff.
They said no weapons.
No weapon content whatsoever. So we don't want to be on Pandora, but we are on Apple, Spotify, Google, Amazon, Stitcher, etc., etc.
I found some smaller ones too that were on. Just some random.
Yeah, a lot of them use like an overhead directory, like they'll pull from, let's say, Apple or Google, and they'll just use that. So there's basically, I think, 12 or 15 you can submit the podcast to, and it'll go basically everywhere.
Yeah.
And we're on all of them except for Pandora now. So if you could please leave a review, that would be fantastic. It would really help out. It would help push the podcast to new listeners. Reviews are the number one way to help out a podcast. But if you're on YouTube, really appreciate you. Like I said, like and subscribe, comment, all that fun, cringy stuff. So like I said, this is a follow-up to our very first episode, which is underrated cartridges. And since we broke the 100 podcast-specific downloads, I decided, okay, let's go ahead and celebrate it with something that people have actually been asking for, which is overrated cartridges. And you can't really have the underrated episode without having the overrated episode,
right?
Because that's just not fair to your viewers / listeners. Because I can speak words now.
You did it right.
I have learned over time.
Congratulations.
I'm not completely stupid.
You just got to say it first before you start speaking more words.
I have to say it, pause, appreciate that I said it, and then move on. This is simply an episode of opinions. Okay? I mean, there's some facts sprinkled in the episode, but this is not to hurt anyone's feelings. It's just my opinion. Don't take offense. I'm not attacking your favorite cartridge. We're just talking. And I think that prefaces it enough to not hurt anyone's feelings. What do you think?
That and the PETA sticker that's on the back of my computer.
Yeah, so if you're watching on YouTube, I'm sure you see the PETA sticker on the back of my wife's
We don't support PETA.
laptop. This is not in support of PETA. It actually just says people eating tasty animals, but I don't think the video quality is good enough to show you all of that.
Probably not.
It's an ironic PETA sticker. Don't attack us.
No.
We don't like PETA.
No, we do not.
They kill more pets every year than I think anyone else.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Any other shelter organization combined. And, like, they steal pets and kill them. So PETA can suck it.
Yeah.
Okay?
Hits the ironic sticker.
Yes. A couple of these cartridges are related to some of the underrated cartridges that we mentioned. They're like competition, which is kind of interesting. I didn't intend for that to happen, but it happened. So, what makes a cartridge overrated? We always have to preface this with, like, what's our guidelines? What are we basing this off of? And a couple of them, there's only 3, I think, on this one. Number 1, it may be outperformed. What?
Oh, the reasons is.
Yeah.
I thought you meant that. Okay.
No. We got 5 cartridges
My
today.
brain stopped working.
But like criteria, It may be outperformed in its intended use by a variety of other cartridges, right? So if it's meant for one specific use, and then now there are 20 other cartridges that are not only designed for that use, but also outperform it in that use, well then, at this point, it's overrated, and it's kind of fallen off, of realistically what's considered good. Mm-hmm. It may be wildly overpriced with too little of an improvement versus its competitors to justify the increase in price. There are a lot of cartridges like that, and I didn't want to load the entire list up with cartridges that are just completely overpriced, but that's one of the criteria. And number 3 is it may be solely popular because of tradition and myth rather than actual performance. And that's actually going to start us off. That specific criteria is gonna start us off with one that hurts my soul. But I did this for you, the listeners, or the viewers, because I want to show you that I'm being impartial and I'm being honest. Caroline, would you please read the first cartridge?
It's 45 ACP.
Say a little louder so the people in the back can hear you.
45 ACP.
Yes. So 45 ACP is one of my favorite cartridges because I like it. And that's basically the only reason. That's all the reason I have to like something, right? If you like it, you like it. And it hurts me to say that this 45 ACP is overrated. But like I said, I'm showing up the honesty coming right out of the gate with a cartridge that I love. But just because I like it doesn't mean it isn't overrated. And it's definitely overrated. Mm-hmm. It's very large. It's slow. And that's like it's positive. That's why I like it. It's big, dumb, and slow, mm-hmm. right? It's like brute force and ignorance epitomized.
Yeah.
I love it. But, however, if you're looking for a larger caliber handgun that's not a revolver, I'm going to specify that because you can get some monster cartridges that are big and fast, not just big, dumb, and slow. In a semi-automatic handgun, 10mm outperforms 45 in almost every possible way. It is slightly smaller in diameter, but it's still large. It's faster. It's got better range. It's got less projectile drop over distance. I mean, it's got better capacity in most cases. It's just an overall better cartridge than 45 ACP. Mm-hmm. But I love 45 ACP. I love 1911s. I love the history, the tradition. I love the just, I don't know, it just something feels different about shooting a 45 1911. I've shot 9mm 1911s. The 45 just feels
right.
Feels right. It feels justified and tasty, and I love it. But 45 is definitely overrated. Another thing is it performs pretty well against soft targets at close distance, but honestly, you can get a 147 grain 9mm hollow point that has slightly more sectional density than the average 45. So the ballistic damage is pretty nasty out of those. You can get some hot 147s in 9mm that perform really well. You can also get stupid hot 10mm that, like we said earlier, just do work. Caroline, do you know what handgun I'm carrying right now?
Like today?
Yes. Same one I carried at the beginning of the week.
Is it your 1911?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So like a couple weeks out of the year, I'll just carry my 5-inch 1911 because I like it.
I appreciate that.
Because I can. For it. She did pay for it. She bought that for a Christmas present. Cannot thank her enough. But I mean, I carry a 1911 occasionally just because I can. I like 45. But then after a couple days, I realized, I'm carrying 2 magazines right now, and those 2 magazines combined have the same capacity as one of the 2 magazines I carry for my CZ P10C. I carry 124s, not 147s, but still pretty stout hollow points. So it's more like what do you call it when it's like a nicety, a luxury, but it's not really practical. It starts with an N. I feel like it starts with an N. Am I having a stroke?
Maybe.
It's possible. Either way,
maybe we're just dumb. I don't know.
I mean, I'm definitely dumb, but there's some word for you're doing something because you can. It's not the most practical thing in the world. A novelty. There we go.
Okay,
it's like a novelty. It still works. Don't get me wrong. I wouldn't want to get shot with a 22 long rifle, much less anything else on this list. But there's better ways to go about things. I normally carry a P10C, But every once in a while, I just treat myself and carry a 1911 because I can. And I love 45 despite it being overrated. See, this is what I'm saying is you can like something and it can still be overrated at the same time. It doesn't mean you have to stop liking it. I'll never stop liking 45.
Yeah.
But it's overrated. I wish it wasn't. I wish there was like this new reformulated version of 45 ACP specifically, not like a different 45 cartridge. I mean like 45 ACP just spiced up to the moon somehow without blowing something up. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. If you just triple the powder, you're just going to blow the gun up. But like you just reformulate everything, create a 45 ACP that's smoking fast and fits in a 1911 and won't blow it up. Be awesome.
You just make that one of your projects.
I will not. I don't know how to do chemistry and witchcraft. It's too much. Like I said, the vast majority of the time, I carry a 9mm with an extra mag that's 30-something rounds of 9mm, 124 grains. And having a low capacity hanging on me at all times kind of stresses me out. I like having the higher capacity. But like I said, you can do better than 45 ACP. It's not useless, but it's outdated and overrated. But don't stop. If you like it, keep doing it. You can get 45s in carbines too. You know, CMMG makes the Banshee. You get some longer barrels there, slightly better velocity. I'm not sure how much more velocity. Haven't researched that specifically. Mm-hmm. But that'd be a fun way to shoot it. UMP 45 in full auto, you shot that.
Yeah.
That was a lot of fun.
It was a lot of fun. That was my favorite one.
See, she shot... Oh, wow, that was alliteration. She shot
seashells.
An MP5 SD full auto. A real one, by the way. It was suppressed. And she liked it. And then we handed her the UMP 45 in full auto. And she liked that more than the MP5 SD.
Oh, so fun.
And that blew my mind.
I loved it.
I was so surprised.
I mean, both of them were super fun.
Of course they're both. But I really thought you would like the pinpoint controllability of the MP5 SD. In full auto, it doesn't move.
But I also like brute force ignorance. Which is why I like
That's why she's my wife.
Mosin.
That's why she's my wife. She likes the Mosin. She likes the Mauser, 8mm Mauser. She likes the UMP 45 over the SMG or the MP5 SD.
I mean, just to shoot for fun.
Yeah,
like if
that's okay.
Yeah.
Brute force and ignorance. You see why I married her, right? She likes the big, dumb, and slow, a.k.a. me. Ew. Hi, my name's Josh. This next one is going to be the first one that's going to irritate some people, I think. I'm sure the 45 might have hurt somebody's feelings or might have irritated somebody.
I think the fact that you were saying that you also like it may have
Yeah, I think that might have cushioned the blow, exactly. But this one is going to sting for some people who are going to immediately either turn the podcast off or start writing their comment about how wrong I am. But number 2 is 308 Winchester with a caveat. I am saying 308 Winchester, as well as 7.62x5.1, are specifically overrated in the precision rifle world. Okay? We talked about it a good bit in the M1A episode that we had. As a battle rifle cartridge, it does pretty good. It's a good battle rifle cartridge. It has always done well. It's even decent in the 240 Bravos. Okay? Like, let's calm down. Just relax, breathe in, breathe out. And it even does okay as a DMR cartridge. So designated marksman rifle. But it's been pushed into this world of precision rifle shooting that it was not designed for. It was designed to be a battle rifle cartridge.
How did it get into precision?
People.
They're
like, oh, I've got 308. I'll go shoot these long-range precision rifle matches with 308.
Yeah.
And it doesn't mean that, people win competitions with 308 all the time.
Yeah.
Like, it happens, guys. It's not like it's this piss poor performing cartridge. It's not what I'm saying. I'm saying it's overrated in precision, okay? It doesn't do as well as other cartridges that were specifically designed for nothing but long-range competition shooting. Because there are cartridges that were designed for hunting. There are cartridges that were designed for military use. There are cartridges that were designed specifically just for long-range shooting, right? 6.5 Creedmoor is a great example of a cartridge that you can definitely hunt with, but people seem to think that just because you can shoot a mile with 6.5 Creedmoor means that you should be able to take a shot on a large deer at 800 yards. Like, okay, you could hit it, but with the velocity and energy loss with 6.5 Creedmoor at that distance, you're probably not going to get a good solid hit. It's not going to be a clean kill, right? They actually, I think technically 6.5 Creedmoor for hunting large game I could be wrong, so I'll give myself a little bit of a buffer here. But I think it was between 250 and 350 yards. It's no longer recommended after that range because of how much energy it loses.
Yeah.
It's just the energy that's the issue.
I mean, that makes sense.
Yeah, you know, a lot of different animals. We talked about this as well in the Underrated cartridge episode.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of animals have a rule of thumb of foot-pounds of energy minimum required to get a good solid hit and, you know, go into the vital organs. And 6.5 Creedmoor loses or goes pretty low pretty quickly, but it's really good at shooting long range. So it's like one of those things where it's designed for this thing.
Mm-hmm.
And 308, 7.62 by 5.1, they do really well at being a battle rifle cartridge out to 500 to 800 yards. I mean, they're very good at that. You're not looking for pinpoint accuracy, but you're looking at carrying energy and velocity to these mid ranges against, well, be honest with you, personnel. So it's really good at battle rifle. But like I said, it was pushed into this world of precision rifle shooting that it wasn't designed for. And people are working like really, really hard to make their 308 this amazing precision rifle cartridge when they could just ditch that and go work with a cartridge that's designed just for precision rifle shooting. Mm-hmm. Right? It's less effort, and you're going to see a lot more gains for your effort versus the very, very tiny gains you see over time with 308. Like, for example, people will spend a lot of time and money reloading 308 and building specific loads for their rifles for precision shooting. And everyone does this with every cartridge. From what I've heard from more knowledgeable reloaders than I, it takes a lot more effort to get that 308 to be consistent out to 1,000 yards than it does 6mm Creedmoor, 6.5 Creedmoor, 6mm and 6.5mm PRC.
So it becomes just a thing of preference with...
It does.
I mean, if you're going to put that much effort into reloading it to make it what you want, when you can,
and it's not just reloading.
Else.
It's just that was just one little thing. Like, it's not just reloading. It's just, man. I mean, how do you? You need distance, you need precision, and you need consistency in a precision rifle competition or just in precision rifle in general, right? A lot of that comes under the rifle, and what's left over comes from the cartridge. Okay. And 308 is just outdated when it comes to the consistency, precision, and distance. It cannot shoot as far as, let's go to the extreme, 338 Lapua, or I'm not going to say 50 BMG, but because that honestly, I almost put 50 BMG on the list, but I knew I was going to get hate mail. It can't shoot as far as a lot of other cartridges. It's not as consistent with tight groupings as a lot of other cartridges. And the precision, once again, a lot of the precision comes down to the load and the rifle. But I do find, on average, better luck with precision out of other 6mm and 6.5mm cartridges. It just seems, and this, we're going to get into a little, I mentioned sectional density earlier. And I'm going to bring it up here because it seems like with how much research and development has gone into making better ammunition, projectile design, all that fun stuff, they're seeing an interesting pattern when looking into sectional density and the different projectiles, right? Mm-hmm. So sectional density is basically how mass is distributed along an axis. I feel like I feel like axis doesn't sound right in that. Whatever.
It's axis.
Anyways, basically mass distributed along an axis, and how that mass is distributed along the axis changes how it deals with resistance, aka environmental changes like air and wind and humidity, all that fun stuff, how it impacts targets, and how it penetrates. It affects a lot of other things. And guys, sectional density is actually very math heavy and very complicated. I'm not a scientist, and I'm not that smart. Okay, I'm pretty stupid. But the bare bones of it comes down to you want a higher sectional density for defeating targets or defeating or penetrating things. I don't want to get too graphic with the way these podcast sites are.
Yeah.
But having a higher sectional density is considered good, okay? And at some point, the larger your diameter of your projectile gets, you start seeing points of diminishing return, where you're getting wider and you're making the projectile longer as well, but you're not gaining as much as you think you would be gaining. And it seems like the industry has really decided that the 6mm to 6.5mm projectile is where the sweet spot is of sectional density. Mm-hmm. I honestly, in my opinion, I think 7.62 cartridges in general will be phased out of all the militaries in a matter of time. I think, 30-06 has been gone out of the military for a while, but 308 is most likely going to, 7.60 by 5.1 is already been getting phased out for 6.5. Man, which 6.5 are they using? It's either 6.8 or 6.5 that they're swapping some. Oh, man. Because there's a machine gun project, a rifle project. There's also a sniper rifle project, but that's another story for a different day. But, they're switching away from the 7.62 cartridges. And I think they're going to get rid of 5.56 as well. I think they're going to settle on a 6.5 that'll be like a battle rifle and infantryman's, regular, quote-unquote, assault rifle. And then a 6.8 for the LMG. It seems like the 6mm to 7mm, right beneath it, is like a sweet spot for sectional density. And I think 308's I think its time's up as a extremely popular. I mean, don't get me wrong, guys. It's still great. Mm-hmm. If you own a M1A, you got a good battle rifle. If you own a Scar H, you've got a really expensive, overpriced battle rifle. If you own I don't know. I wonder if FN ever put out their 240 semi-automatic replica thing. The 240 Bravo. They were planning to after they released the 249 machine gun replica that's in semi-auto. But I don't know if they ever put out the 240. I know they were supposed to, and it was priced at $16,000. Either 14 or 16 grand was the MSRP or something crazy like that. Because the 249 was $11,000 MSRP. Mm-hmm. It ended up selling for around $8,000 most of the time. But I just think 308's outdated. I think it's run out of time when it comes to precision rifle. I think everyone's going to go to the 6mm, 6.5mm. I think we're done with that. I really like 6mm and 6.5. I want to see.
I think they did.
They did?
I think so.
Okay, so if they come out with that, you got a pretty cool little, MG look-alike. But I'd like to see what 6.8 is going to come out of this military development. I think the 6.8 is going to be really interesting. It's obviously not SPC2 like we're used to thinking of when we think of 6.8. But I think we're going to get some really cool development here. We're going to start seeing a lot of interesting precision rifle and long-range rounds that are just going to continually evolve out of competition with the PRC rounds, the Creedmoor rounds. There's a lot going on. It's going to be really nice. In fact, 6.5 Creedmoor is... Actually, I'll leave this up to the comments. Question for the comments. If you are listening on the podcast websites, please hop over to YouTube to answer the question. What cartridge is 6.5 Creedmoor besides 6.5 Creedmoor? Because it was not originally 6.5 Creedmoor, and in fact, it was completely accidentally taken from another cartridge and renamed. It's actually a funny story. Maybe we'll tell it one day. But answer in the comments. See if you can guess what 6.5 Creedmoor actually is. But I think that's enough to cover 308 to piss some people off. Did you find if they released the 240 yet? No.
I don't know. You said FN, right?
Yeah, FN. They had the 249, and they were going to release the 240 in semi-auto. Most likely have a first generation that requires a recall, just like the P90.
It looks like all they have is the ones that are available for law enforcement and military.
Oh, okay. Well,
so it's the
actual 240s.
M240L.
Yeah, the Lima.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Oh, well. We'll go on to number 3.
Ooh, wait a minute.
Go ahead. Take your time. Take your time.
No, okay.
No?
They've got an M240 Bravo, but also says available for law enforcement and military.
Well, that doesn't make sense.
Nope. But that's what it says.
All right. Well, I guess they might have canceled that. I'm sure they had to really think through. Well, we released the P90, and it had some issues going full auto. We released the 249, and it had some issues going full auto. Maybe we shouldn't release the 240 Bravo, which everyone's going to keep when we recall the first generation.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because I don't have a add to cart button.
Be nice if you did, right?
It would.
All right, so number 3 is 220 Swift, which I don't even think Caroline's ever heard of 220 Swift, have you? So it's another 22 caliber projectile cartridge, right? And in my opinion, it's very comparable to 22 250, which we have one, right? Yeah. And you've seen that. You're basically moving a 22 stupid fast. That's the whole thing with 220 Swift. However, I think it's overrated because it performs only marginally, and I mean marginally, better than some weight 22 250 projectiles in velocity, but not all of them. There are some 22 250 projectiles in similar weights as 220 Swifts that do either as well or slightly better than 220 Swift. So it's a barrel burner, just like 22 250 is. Its velocity just eats barrels, right? The faster that thing's moving. I'm sorry, there is a spider up on the ceiling, and I'm trying to avoid.
You keep looking at it.
I just want to make sure it doesn't move behind you. If it moves and goes on the floor, I got to warn you. Oh, I'll keep an eye on it.
That's what sorry. I was hoping it wasn't.
I'm sorry.
You kept looking at it.
I looked at it. I was like, oh, it's a spider on the ceiling. I'm proud of you for not getting up and running right now.
I was panicking because you kept looking up.
Well, I'm just surprised you didn't run. Okay, guys, my wife is making big progress.
I'm scared.
I will let you know if you need to run. Okay.
Okay.
If it moves like anywhere closer to you, I will tell you to run, and I will do this by myself.
I'm itchy. It needs to die.
I'm not going to stop and kill it right now. I'm sorry. But
if you just looked at it once, I probably wouldn't have thought anything of it.
Well, now I want to make sure it doesn't get close to you. One of the biggest issues that 220 Swift has is it has a semi rim. It has a rim, right? Like 762 by 54R and 303 British. They have a big rim, and they headspace off of this rim. I don't think 220 Swift headspaces off the rim. Pretty sure it headspaces off of the taper. However, most rim cartridges do headspace off the rim. This one is they call it semi-rimmed, which means it's not as pronounced. But rims are not great for magazine-fed rifles because the stacking leads to what people call rim lock. All it is an awkward stacking of these big protruding discs in the back, right? And it causes issues.
They just get caught on each other.
Yeah, it's not reliable, right? Like rimmed cartridges are not reliable. 220 Swift is also more expensive on average than 22 250 because, like I said in the underrated cartridges episode, 22 250 is underrated, and it is not exactly the most loved cartridge in the world. It's kind of forgotten, even though it does really well at its job. So people don't buy it as much. So, excluding the ammo crisis of 2020 and 2021, it was almost always more affordable than 220 Swift. So if you're looking at it from like a varmint hunting perspective, 22 250 makes plenty of sense. It performs extremely well. It's fast. It's flat shooting. It's cheaper. There's, no argument there. For target shooting, well, it's flat shooting. It's capable of reaching out to a respectable distance for a 22 projectile, just like 220 Swift. And it's more affordable, like once again, which is always an important factor. More affordability. I don't really see a big upside in shooting 220 Swift over a cartridge like 22 250. I mean, some people say, well, 22 250 on average is pushing 3,800 feet per second versus the 4,000 of 220 Swift. Well, I've shot a lot of 22 250 that pushes 4,000 feet per second. And once again, this is completely dependent on projectile choice, environment, all that fun stuff. But if you're willing to go through all that extra work for an extra 200 feet per second, are you really getting much gains there against your prairie dog? Is that 200 feet per second really helping you with the prairie dog?
He'll be more deader.
I guess he'll be more deader.
More deader faster.
More deader faster. But like I said, I don't hate the cartridge. I like 220 Swift. I'm never going to build one. I'll never build a 220 Swift. I don't hate the cartridge. It performs very well, but it's expensive. Would you build
it for a customer?
I'd build one for a customer. I wouldn't build one for myself. But like I said, it's a good cartridge. It's just expensive and semi-rimmed. I don't like that. But I'm not extremely hard on this issue with the 220 Swift. If you presented a counter argument to me that said, here's why this 220 Swift performs extremely well in this niche and why it's, not overrated, but really where it should be, then I would hear you out, and you could probably change my mind if it was a really good counter argument. But otherwise, I'm set. I think it's okay. Number 4. Caroline, do you remember what Winchester short mag we talked about in the very first episode of the podcast?
I do not.
No?
No.
You remember the
Is it in here?
diameter of the projectile?
It's in the script.
Okay. Well, you can go ahead and say, what Winchester short mag did we talk about in the first episode?
325.
325 WSM. And now we are talking about another Winchester short mag, but on the overrated list. And that's 270 WSM. So a lot of you know of 270 Winchester. It's very popular. And some of you may have watched our underrated cartridge episode, and for the very first time your very first time hearing of a Winchester short mag was when we brought up the 325 Winchester short mag, which I still really want to build a rifle in. I want to build a 325 Winchester short mag I think I've decided I want to do it in a Ruger Model 70. That's what I want. A 325 in a Ruger Model 70. If I can, if it's possible. Haven't looked into it too much. I'm broke. Please subscribe. But we're talking about a different Winchester short mag that I do think is overrated. 270 Winchester, not short mag, is a really, really good, well-respected, and extremely common cartridge. It's used all over the United States for hunting. I mean, it is a hugely popular hunting cartridge. I think 30-30 and 270 Winchester are probably neck and neck for the most deer killed in America for one cartridge. I can't think of anything that's probably killed more deer. Mm-hmm. Maybe 30-06. And that's a hard maybe.
Yeah.
I feel like 270 has passed 30-06. But there's no telling. However, like I said, it's common, it's popular, but people wanted to improve it. Mm-hmm. And they wanted to improve a good shooting, not too heavily recoiling, flat shooting hunting cartridge. And that was 270 Winchester short mag. And that was an attempt to improve on an already fantastic cartridge. But one of the issues that most Winchester short mag cartridges have, which I didn't bring up in the 325 WSM section of the first episode, I probably should have, but I didn't think about it, and I remembered it for this one. It's too late. Can't go back. Is WSMs often have some feeding problems with certain rifle setups. And I'm not gonna go too deep into that because it would probably be too deep of a dive. But certain rifle setups, certain feed ramps, certain magazine setups don't do as well with a Winchester short mag. Okay, it's just the way the cartridge is designed, and the body itself is a pretty interesting shape, very short and fat, very fat. It's a short mag, right?
Chunky.
It's chunky. They chunky. Mm-hmm. And certain barreled actions just don't do as well feeding these. Some do just fine, and that will be up to you to research and decide. I'm not going to tell you which ones to get because that purchase is not on me. But it's also WSM in general, just once again, speaking on Winchester short mags, they're also not the easiest cartridges to reload. Reloading them can be complicated and difficult, and we'll get to that here in a second. But when you combine that with the fact that you're trying to make an already amazing cartridge move at a higher velocity out of a lighter rifle with a shorter case, you run into some pretty big issues. One of those issues is an increase in recoil. Because often, if it's a short mag, it's a short action receiver, which has less metal, shorter, so that's lighter weight. And if you're putting it into, the worst case scenario is putting it in like a mountain rifle. If we're going to go hunt sheep in Alaska, so it's super lightweight because you got to hike out there for so long.
Right.
That thing's gonna slap. That thing is going to kick. But you have the increase in recoil, which, like I said, is a product of reducing your weight while increasing power. And I mentioned this in the underrated cartridges episode. I'm not a big proponent of really caring how much it recoils, but I do have to admit if it's going to be a downside, right? Like we mentioned, 325 does recoil a lot. Okay, well, put it in a heavy rifle, or if you, I don't take that as my only factor I don't think it's as important of a factor as a lot of people think it is. Like, oh, recoil is too much.
Right.
I mean, if you can shoot a machine gun from the hip or out of a window straight down, or if you can shoot a 50 cal from the hip, I mean, I don't see what a couple shots from the shoulder of a relatively high recoiling rifle are going to do. Mm-hmm. Especially since it's not even a milsurp. You don't have a steel plate on the stock most of the time. You have a recoil pad that you can replace with a thicker recoil pad. But I will bring it up as a downside if you care about that as a viewer, as a listener. If you do care about recoil, because I'm not judging you, I'm just saying how I judge things, how I judge rifles. Recoil is not the biggest issue for me. But if it is to you, 270 WSM does have an increase in recoil. If it's a one-shot deal, like where you're hunting, not a big deal. If you're going to the range all the time with it for some reason, which I wouldn't, with it being relatively expensive to shoot, it can bruise your shoulder up pretty good, right? Kind of like shooting a 30-06 out of a skeletonized polymer stock with a short barrel.
Mm-hmm. That sounds fun.
Just slappity slap. But like I said, I like Winchester Short Mag's ideas. They kind of have flopped in general. I say in general, but 270 WSM has been kind of played around with a good bit by a lot of people because, I mean, 270 is already good. It performs really, really well over distance and shoots flat. It hits deer really, really well. It's a very good deer gun or deer cartridge. I think that seeing 270 WSM has really made people consider like getting into that and thinking, well, if it's better than 270, what's the downside? And I think if they're reloading, they're going to run into some serious issues because when you're reloading these, you have a long projectile, but a short case. So you deal with reduced case capacity, even though it is fatter. I mean, it's a chunky case. It's shorter. So you run into this reduced case capacity. And then if you also tend to be restricted with specific bullet weights. Like I think they cap out or they bottom out. I think they cap out at like 150 in WSM, 150 grain projectiles. I think. I could be wrong. I think being restricted with the projectiles you want is kind of annoying. And then you have to play around a lot to get these functioning properly in your rifle. So if you're a reloader listening to this and you're like, look, man, I reload WSM or even specifically 270 WSM all the time, here's how I have it work, and it's actually really easy. Please let me know. I would love to be wrong. I think WSM and the whole short mag idea is really interesting. I think it deserves to be explored even more. Fine-tuning and R&D is what has been going on for the past 20 years in ammunition, and a lot of old cartridges are coming back as new cartridges, and they haven't really changed much, but the powders have changed, projectiles have changed, but the specifications are pretty similar. 6.5 Creedmoor is one of those. So if you're reloading and you hear this and you go, you know what, man, you're wrong. Here's why you're wrong. I would actually really appreciate that. So drop that in the comments. If you reload 270 WSM, let me know. I'd like to see what you're doing right that others are saying they're doing wrong. I'm getting my reloading information from others, guys. I don't reload right now. I've wanted to for a long time. I just can't afford to, especially now that it's 2021 and 2020. Just why even try to get into it? I like it. I really want to fine tune my 6.5 Creedmoor and my 30-06. I got a 0.3 inch group out of my 6.5 Creedmoor. I'd like to see if I could reduce that to 0.2 with better ammo. So, you know, I'm interested, but y'all let me know what you think. I think it's just you're better off using 270 over 270 Winchester short mag. Or you could also, if you don't want to use 270, because everyone's got a 270, right? You could also look at 7mm rim mag, which is very comparable in performance to 270 Winchester. In fact, well, no, I'll leave it at that. I was going to say something. I think 7mm rim mag and 270 are so close in performance that I think that one of them should just be eliminated off the market. Mm-hmm. They're so close. But they're both very good cartridges, guys. I mean, nothing wrong with having too many good things. Anything to say, Caroline? My lady?
No.
No? Just kind of riding it out?
Yeah.
Let me talk my ears off?
Well, I mean, I don't have any questions.
So I'm doing a good job explaining?
You are.
Well, that's good. I'm glad. What's the I'm gonna let you say the last one.
40 Smith & Wesson?
Yeah. You knew it was coming. You knew it was coming. 40 Smith & Wesson.
We've already talked about 40 Smith & Wesson.
At least a dozen times in less than a dozen episodes.
Mm-hmm.
I cannot stand 40 Smith & Wesson. This is the only one that I don't care what you said, I would not take it off the list. This is the only one. It's overrated. Suck it. I don't care. It's the only one that I think is just hard overrated. The other ones I'm kind of wishy-washy on, and I had to make a list if I had to choose. No, this one, overrated. So, my buddies' names that start with a J, there's 2 of them. I'm sorry. 40 Smith & Wesson, overrated. It's my least favorite handgun cartridge in the entire world. I would literally prefer to say that 22 Hornet is less overrated than 40 Smith & Wesson. I can't understand why it is still a very popular cartridge. Because out of all this ammo, or all the guns or cartridges on this list, I think 40 Smith & Wesson is probably more popular than the rest of them besides 308. I think more people carry 40 than 45.
Probably.
Right? I think more people shoot 40 than 45. But I don't like 45. It is overrated. I'm sorry. Let me tell you why. Let me tell you why it's overrated. Why? Okay, so if you didn't hear the previous episodes, guys, 40 Smith & Wesson came about because the FBI wanted a larger caliber handgun than 9mm after this big shootout. We have an entire episode on why 10mm is awesome. Go watch that for the story. But they realized 10mm had too much recoil for their quote-unquote small-framed officers or officers with smaller hands. So
the women just didn't train.
I'm not allowed to say that. I'm a white man. I can't say anything.
I can
about
say it.
Women. They couldn't handle the stronger recoil. So 40 Smith & Wesson was invented basically as a super light recoil. Well, I say super compared to 10mm. It's a wussed out.
It's diet 10mm.
It's diet 10mm. That's it. It's
great value brand.
It's great value brand 10mm. Light recoil 10mm. They actually tried just using light recoil 10mm loads for a while, but they ended up switching to 40. And they thought 40 was cool. And get this, they thought it was cool because they could put it in 9mm sized handguns. And then a lot of the times, the 9mm sized handguns they were putting 40s in would explode because it wasn't built to take that kind of pressure.
Yeah.
And then the ammunition had tons of issues. Now this one, the ammunition thing's a little wonky. I've seen a lot of issues with 40 Smith & Wesson ammunition specifically. And I can't tell if that's just an issue with the design of 40 Smith & Wesson or if it's actually just complete garbage quality control. I can't tell.
Could be both.
It's probably both. But I've seen a lot. I mean, I've seen, out of all handgun cartridges that I've seen issues with, I've seen more issues out of 40 Smith & Wesson. Right? But lately, thankfully, a lot of police precincts and other units have switched from 40 Smith & Wesson to 9mm because they have brains. And the reason I'm glad is because there's no real reason to carry a 40 over a 9mm. People are looking at me like, well, would you like to get shot with a 40? Obviously not, you dumbo. However, when people's lives depend on using handguns, they should be given every possible advantage.
You want something more accurate rather than just bigger.
It's not even that. It's it's not, well, yes, right, but not just accuracy. You want consistent velocity. You want very good ballistic performance upon entering resistance. Can I say that? Is that PC enough? Resistance?
I think so. Because we could just be talking about gel.
This could just be, clear gel, guys. It performs, when you get similar projectile designs, 9mm performs comparably or better than 40 Smith & Wesson when it comes to ballistic damage, like your wound cavities and everything. It's lighter weight on average. I mean, you can get some 147s, some fat boys, but it's lighter weight. It has higher magazine capacity, and it's cheaper to shoot, right? These are all net positives. All of these are net positives. right? Why? Why carry 40 over 9mm?
Because it's bigger.
It's bigger. All right. And see, here's the issue, guys. The reason 40 is still, I know exactly why 40 is still popular. It's because of all these FUDs, okay, who grew up, you know, they're already grown adults in the 90s, like let's say they're in their 40s or late 30s in the 90s, okay? And they see these shootouts that happen with a 9mm and go, man, that thing's trash. So they buy a bunch of 40s, and then for the next 20 years, they literally put their fingers in their ears and have no idea what's going on in the industry. They have no idea that 9mm became extremely heavily developed and researched into, and now the FBI uses 9mm again. Mm-hmm. And police precincts, like local police departments, are going to 9mm because, man, you get some Hornady, or not, sorry, not Hornady, you get some Spear Gold Dots, or you get some Federal HSTs, or Hydra-Shocks, if you like the old stuff. I do. And you can get Hornady's Critical Defense, Critical Duty. I mean, these things are really good, and you can even get some really, really interesting, really fast polymer 9mm projectiles. The projectile is polymer.
Yeah.
And it moves at a stupid fast velocity.
Lighter.
Yeah, and it's light as crap. So that's another weird one. I mean, they've got all kinds of stuff. There's no reason for 40. I just don't agree with it anymore. I don't care, man. If you want a 40 .40 projectile, right? Go with 10 mil. Mm-hmm. That's what 10 mil is. Go with a real round.
People don't know that.
That's true too.
Because
they think you know, honest to God, most people I meet who like really aren't this deep into firearms, you know, like knowing all the different things about ammunition, they think 10 mil is bigger than 45.
Do they?
Yes. They think it's got a bigger diameter, and it's like, well, 0.45 of an inch and 10mm, right? Mm-hmm. And 10mm is 0.40.
Yeah.
It is smaller than 45. Now, it performs better because it's got a ton of butt behind it. It's just got some butt behind it. And it's lighter weight. Some booty. But guys, 40 Smith & Wesson's overrated. If you want the capacity and the 9mm size frames in handguns, go with a 9mm. If you want the big 0.40 diameter projectile, go with 10 mil. All the myths about 9mm underperforming started in the 90s. Like I said, before the R&D went absolutely ham and made 9mm a stud. 9mm is fantastic. I love it. I carry Federal HSTs. If you can't get HST, this is how I personally rank. Like, this is my personal opinion. This is kind of data driven over time. Like, I've read a bunch of data, but this is not like I'm not going to source where my sources are right now. I'm just going to tell you, in my personal opinion, I would carry Federal HSTs. If I couldn't get those, I would do Spear Gold Dots. If I couldn't get those, I would try to find some old Federal Hydra-Shocks. If I couldn't get those, then I would go to Hornady Critical Defense or Critical Duty. I have seen some issues with Hornady's Critical Defense and Critical Duty that are not all the time. I'm not going to try to slander anyone. I just seen some failures to expand. And the issue is I can't confirm barrel length on, you know, what they use in Critical Defense or Critical Duty, what barrel length are they using. I can't confirm all of that. But these are real cases of in the state where Hornady hollow points did not exactly expand. So one thing I would never carry is I would never ever carry SIG V-Crown. SIG V-Crown ammunition, from my personal experience, has been just the most inconsistent, quality-controlled garbage I've ever seen. I've just not had any luck with them, shooting them. I've never seen a gun that runs a whole mag of them through them.
Does SIG actually make it, or is their name just on
I
it?
bet you, I don't know. I actually don't know. You can look that up for me, Mrs. Little Researcher, Mrs. Little Producer, because I honestly don't know if SIG makes it. I would bet money they don't actually make it.
Yeah. Because there was, I mean, it wasn't this. You said V-Crown?
Yeah, SIG V-Crown.
There was a story that I don't remember if you showed it to me or if I found it, but a guy like shot himself in the leg on accident.
Oh, that was the rip rounds.
Yeah, and then left a fantastic review.
Yeah, there was some dude who shot himself in the thigh with the RIP rounds, which are basically like just big frangibles. Just
That's great.
Break off into like, you know, little pellets, or not pellets, sorry, petals, like, you know. And the dude shredded his leg, and he was leaving a review. He was like, I will carry these forever. It performed exactly as intended. You know, I needed 14 surgeries or whatever it was. I'm exaggerating, but, you know, It was really
funny. He needed a lot of medical attention.
Yes, he did.
And he left a fantastic review for it because it did what it was supposed to do.
Yes. But I'm going to go back to the 40 Smith & Wesson. Let me know if you find out if SIG actually makes it or if there's a parent or another company they hire to do it as a licensing.
It's on their website.
Yes, it's.
But I'm trying to find.
No, you need to type in who makes SIG V-Crown.
I did.
Okay. Well, you can figure it out for me.
I will.
I'll
click around.
40 has always been a finicky cartridge with handgun designs having issues handling the cartridge because you don't want to make it so bulky that you could actually fit a 10 millimeter or a 45 in there, but you don't want it so small and similar to the 9mm that it can't handle the pressure. So in early production of 40s, a lot of companies couldn't make a 40 that would work properly. Go ahead.
So Google says, although they've only been in the ammo arena for 3 years, SIG has combined experience of Bud Feeney, F-I-N-I, Executive Vice President Ammunition, Dan Powers, President Ammunition, former CEO of RAG, R-U-A-G?
R-U-A-G?
RUAG?
I don't know how to pronounce that.
Who is the man behind the patent for the V-Crown.
I'm going to see who makes it.
So it seems like SIG just got a bunch of people to kind of make it.
Well, they got people involved, right? But the V-Crown stuff is nothing really... It's nothing that new in the gun world. I'm not a fan of it, like I said. I
don't know. Maybe SIG is just...
They might be making it. I doubt they're making it, though. I know what SIG does when they do these things, when they come up with new products. It's almost always outsourced. It's almost always licensed. But who knows? Maybe it's not. Maybe they're just making garbage ammo on their own.
Maybe.
It would look better if they weren't making garbage ammo on their own. Their steel cased handgun ammo is just absolute trash, like most steel case. I don't even know why they're making steel case. You're a big name. You shouldn't be making junk ammo like that. But anyways, back to the 40. Glock especially had serious issues designing a fully functioning 40 Smith & Wesson handgun. They were either having serious damage upon firing, or they were having consistent malfunctions. So the first couple of generations of Glock 40 Smith & Wessons were just trash. There were some, like I said, I've seen a lot of ammo issues out of 40 Smith & Wesson ammo. I cannot really decide with my anecdotal experience if it's down to the design of the 40 or if it's down to quality control, right? Either way, I don't want anything to do with it. So in my opinion, go 10mm or go 9mm. Those are your best options for the two sides of 40. Do you want the small frame handgun? Go with 9. If you want the big frame handgun with a big bullet, go 10mm and be happy that you now have a man-sized cartridge. No offense to women who shoot 9mm or 10mm. I'm just glad you're shooting.
So SIG does make it, but it was their first ammunition that they made. Because it said like a lot of ammunition companies make white box ammo, and then they just put their logos on it. But if this is correct, this is their first the first ammo that they actually made is the V-Crown.
Okay. Well, it shows, SIG.
Yeah.
It shows. I've seen
it
serious
says V-Crown bullet is
issues.
one of the very few that pass all the FBI protocols.
If only they had quality control.
That might be why it's bad, though.
Yeah, the FBI has very interesting penetration requirements, like too little, not too little, not too much,
Yeah.
I still think sticking to Spear Gold Dots and federal HSTs is the way to go right now. I've got some, actually in this, I'm going to pull this out. This is just, guys, I only pulled out a magazine. This is a spare mag in my pocket. These are, the camera won't be able to pick it up, but these are 45 federal Hydra-Shocks, which they don't make anymore. They swapped to HSTs. I still like the Hydra-Shocks. They're pretty cool. And in a 45, I'm not really too worried about expansion that much. I don't care if it opens like a perfect, pretty flower petal. It's just going to thump. It's going to dump energy real quick. It's slow already.
Pretty flower petals are nice, though.
Of course. But I think that covers it, guys. I think 40, you understand. Current ammo market notwithstanding, your ammunition choices are still abundant for either 10mm or 9mm. 9mm is cheaper to shoot, has less recoil, higher capacity. Okay, performs good. 10mm has Honestly, worse capacity, but it's got more butt behind it, and it's got really good performance.
More bang for your
More
buck.
bang for your buck, okay? Those are my opinions, guys. These cartridges are completely my opinions on which ones are overrated. We talked about 45, which hurt my own feeling. We have 308. We have 220 Swift. We have 270 Winchester Short Mag, and 40 Smith & Wesson. Guys, if you like these cartridges, keep shooting them. I'm not this person who I'm not going to tell you what to do, okay? I'm not. If you listen to me and you're like, man, he says this thing's bad. I didn't say it was bad, except for 40 Smith & Wesson. I said that it was overrated. If you like 308, shoot 308. If you like 45 ACP like me, I'm going to keep shooting 45 ACP. I'm carrying it right now. And on Monday, I will swap to my 9mm again because that's the rational thing to do. But I like it. I like certain things. If you like it, you like it, guys. Listen to this list. Laugh. Laugh at me. Who cares? Just thanks for listening, guys. We really appreciate it.
Yeah.
Next episode will once again be on Sunday at 6:30 Eastern. You can find us on Instagram at TBR Gunworks, Facebook, TBR Gunworks, tbrgunworks.com at our own website. And if you're listening on the podcast, guys, once again, please leave a review. It would help us out so very much. So very much. If you're on YouTube, like, comment, subscribe. Guys, Caroline's getting very, very close to popping a baby out of her stomach like the alien invaders.
We got a few more weeks.
It's going to have her eyes. It's a fun Fire Marshal Bill reference.
It's got my eyes.
But I have a backup plan right now for a couple episodes. We should have a guest who is able to do a Skype call. Hopefully that quality will be good. That's one episode. I'm going to try to find another person in person that lives in the same state that could do some semi-consistent podcast episodes. I don't want to do this by myself all the time if I can avoid it. But, if I had to choose between doing the podcast by myself and watching the baby, I would take the podcast.
We could just get one of the dogs to sit in here with you.
I could just get Max to sit on this chair.
Yeah.
Be good.
Evie will just stare at you.
That'd be real good.
Yeah.
Actually, Evie would be a good podcast host. She would just stare at me the entire time.
Yeah, you can put some headphones on her. She'll just chill out.
That's actually good, but we'll try to try that. But we got some stuff coming, guys. If I can finally make it to the range, I would be able to actually start filming the first YouTube video for the channel, but life is fun and we're broke. So I will make that video as soon as humanly possible, guys. It's going to be a fun video. Caroline, did I miss anything? Do you want to bring anything up to the lovely listeners / watchers?
I don't think so.
Okay. Well, I appreciate you being a good podcast host. Mm-hmm. You said almost nothing.
Well, you did a good job explaining, and my job is to ask questions.
Well, she did a good job. I appreciate her. We're going to miss her.
Use bigger words.
Use bigger words next time? All right. I will do my best to learn some big words that I can actually try to use. We really appreciate you being on the podcast. Hopefully, you'll get some more in you before the baby pops out your belly button.
I'm sure I will.
Because that's how babies are delivered.
Exactly.
If you didn't know, kids, they come out the belly button.
Exactly.
Yep.
That's what they do.
Episode 10, guys. Over 100 downloads. Thank you so much for the support. We greatly appreciate it. We're looking forward to making some more episodes, more content, and we're looking forward to trying to help you guys out and the Second Amendment community everywhere we can. I think that's all. Yeah. I think we're done, guys. Take care. And every gun right is an infringement. Remember that.
It's very true.
Be safe out there.